The Rules Committee will come to order. Welcome back to everyone. Hope people had a good Memorial Day. We are here for consideration of 3 appropriations bills and the intelligence authorization measure. We're awaiting the chair and ranking minority members of 2 of the other subcommittees, but we're happy to have Messrs. Frelinghuysen and Visclosky here from the Energy and Water Subcommittee, and Chairman Frelinghuysen, without objection, any prepared statement that you have in the record will appear in the record in its entirety. The same applies to Mr. Visclosky and the other members as always, and we welcome your summary.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. Thank you for having us. It's my honor to bring the fiscal year 2013 Energy and Water Bill before the full committee this afternoon. I would like to thank my ranking member, Mr. Visclosky, for his support in putting the bill together. I'm looking forward to an open process over the coming days so everyone's voice can be heard on the legislation. The bill for fiscal year 2013 totals $32.1 billion, $965 million below the request, and $88 million below 2012. There are no earmarks in this legislation. Although overall spending is $88 million above 2012, this is a fiscally conservative bill. There are many rescissions that we took in 2012 that we don't take this year. Setting those aside, the bill actually cuts agency spending by $623 million below last year. The recommendations prioritize investments in our nuclear security enterprise, programs to address gasoline prices, and opportunities to advance American competitiveness, including the role of the Corps of Engineers. The only significant increases over last year's level are to nuclear security and to make the energy programs into a true all-of-the-above strategy. We do fund the Corps of Engineers above the request, including $1 billion for the Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund activities. The recommendations fully fund the weapons activities request to ensure that the Secretary of Energy has the investments he needs to certify to the President that our nuclear stockpile is reliable. This bill does not...
please join us at the table here.
This bill does not provide a quick fix for gasoline prices, since there is little the Department of Energy can do immediately to change the oil supply and demand. However, the bill provides $1.01 billion, $36 million above fiscal year 2012 to strengthen programs addressing the causes and impacts of higher gas prices down the road. The bill protects public safety and keeps America open for business by providing $4.8 billion for the Army Corps of Engineers, $83 million above the request, and $188 million below fiscal year 2012's amount. As in 2012, the bill maintains the constitutional role of Congress in the appropriations process by ensuring that all worthy Corps of Engineers projects have a chance to compete for funding. Finally, the recommendation includes $25 million for Yucca Mountain, with language prohibiting activities which would keep the facility from being unusable in the future. This will ensure that we keep Congress in the driver's seat for nuclear waste policy, and thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Chairman Frelinghuysen. Mr. Visclosky.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I would simply add my remarks to the chairman's and note that Chairman Frelinghuysen has worked very, very closely with the minority, with every member of the committee, has worked in a transparent fashion to make sure every member's opinions are incorporated into the bill to the extent necessary. I join him in asking the committee for an open rule.
Good. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs Subcommittee. Mr. Culberson, thank you for joining us.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. It's my privilege to present a bill that Mr. Bishop and I and our subcommittee prepared arm in arm in support of our veterans and the time that they are in uniform. We have made certain that they have we try to make their lives as worry-free as possible. We have fully funded every request we receive from the armed forces. Mr. Chairman, we have held funding level this year, but been able to do so because of in particular the Air Force made a significantly smaller request this year than they did last year, and because of the redeployment of forces around the world, Mr. Bishop and I were able to present this bill to you at flat funding again, because of a decrease in the demands of the military for military construction, but we were able to use some of those savings to give a modest increase to the Veterans Administration, particularly help them with their backlog of disability claims, which continues to be a problem, something that we are, the whole subcommittee is very concerned about. We're also working diligently. You'll see in this bill language, and the subcommittee is going to be working very aggressively to get a single medical record for every member of the armed services from the time they're in uniform and then transition into the VA. We are working as hard as we can, and this legislation helps move us in the direction of getting a unified medical record for all members of the armed services.
Good.
And,
Well, congratulations, and
bill for your consideration.
thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it. Mr. Bishop,
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
you want to get the microphone over there so that our friends out there and the...
Thank you. Let me thank Chairman Culberson for his hard work on the bill, as well as our staffs. I'm glad to be here to present this bill in regular order. And I'm glad that's possible, and it's only possible because both sides were able to listen and cooperate, and I want the members to know that the bill does some good things. On the Milcon side, it'll provide funding to refurbish 10 Department of Defense schools, continuous construction on the Medical Replacement Center in Landstuhl over in Germany. And on the VA side, it meets the discretionary budget requests in all of the areas of administrative expenses, research, medical care, information technology, and facilities. The chairman referred to the joint medical records for VA and DOD, which is a challenge that we face, but one that we've got to do because we've got to have the seamless transition of our forces. And we also are very concerned and interested in trying to get more cooperation and co-location of facilities between DOD and VA. I'm pleased that the bill, in my opinion, continues to build on the progress that was made by the Democratic majority in the last Congress. And, of course, I request that when the bill comes to the floor that it comes with an open rule so that the full House can have a third debate on the FY13 Milcon VA.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bishop. Appreciate your kind words. Mr. Aderholt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The FY13 Homeland Security Approach Bill is about addressing our nation's two key priorities, vital security operations and physical discipline. FY13 bill provides $39.1 billion in discretionary funding for the department. That's nearly half of $1 billion, or 1.2 below the FY enacted level, and almost $400 million, or 1% below the President's request. The bill is within the subcommittee's 302B allocations for budget authority and outlays, and there are no earmarks in the bill or the accompanying reports. In the interest of time, I won't outline all the programs and activities funding the bill, but point out just a few highlights. On physical discipline, the bill goes further than simple spending cuts. It builds upon the reforms that we enacted last year, reform on how the department justifies its budget, reform on how FEMA manages first responder grants, reform of how FEMA budgets for the cost of disaster relief, and reform in how the Coast Guard acquires its costly assets. On security operation, the bill sustains all frontline programs, supports the highest level in history for both Border Patrol agents and ICE detention beds, and fully funds the high-risk programs that directly counter current terrorist tactics and known threats. Regarding disaster relief, the bill fully funds the known FY13 requirement of nearly $6.1 billion, mostly by the way of the Budget Control Act's discretionary cap adjustment. And then, of course, finally, on oversight, the Homeland Security Subcommittee has a long bipartisan tradition of insisting upon results for each and every taxpayer dollar which it appropriates. The bill includes numerous spending plan requirements, reporting requirements, operational requirements to ensure accountability and compliance with congressional mandates. I do believe the bill reflects a strong bipartisan effort to address our nation's most urgent needs, security and physical discipline, and I would urge the committee to support it. I concur with the request for an open rule, waiving all necessary points of order against the bill, and of course happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Aderholt. Mr. Price.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am happy to second our our chairman's request for an open rule and to commend him for a very collaborative and collegial process that's resulted in the drafting of our Homeland Security bill. We do want an open rule, and we believe all members should have an opportunity to weigh in and propose improvements to the bill. As the chairman stressed, we have funded the critical frontline operations in an adequate way, and we've added to that this year a marked improvement in the way we've funded the grant programs, state and local grant programs. That was a problem in the current year bill. It's improved in this bill, and I commend the chairman for finding, even within a tight allocation, finding the room to do that. Also pleased that we have improved funding for research and development efforts in the department at the Science and Technology Directorate. There are a couple of dissonant notes. I'll just refer to them briefly. I think we are going to end up wasting some taxpayer dollars by virtue of some immigration provisions included in the bill. Statutory floors are set for a number of programs where we think they shouldn't be set. Arbitrary minimum of detention beds, for example. A required level of spending for this seriously flawed 287G program. An inflexible amount of money for worksite enforcement. These kinds of spending floors and mandates limit the department's ability to respond decisively and flexibly to immigration challenges and will probably result in wasted taxpayer dollars. There are 3 abortion general provisions that were added in full committee. It's a politically charged subject. There are already restrictions in law. There are already restrictions in the President's executive order 13535, which apply to the Homeland Security Department. This bill has never had abortion provisions in it until now, and we think these amendments are redundant. They're certainly politically charged. So I do support the request of the ranking member from the Judiciary Authorizing Committee to leave these provisions exposed to parliamentary challenge, as indeed they should be. With that, Mr. Chairman, be happy to answer questions. We appreciate.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Price. So we
request for an open rule.
We have 3 distinguished chairs and 3 ranking members. Leave it to my friend David Price to offer the only dissonant voice, as he describes it, of the entire panel here. I thought that we were going to have complete unanimity of thought until I heard from Mr. Price, but we appreciate his, as always, bringing his very thoughtful and detailed approach to the question. I think that if we do, in fact, have an open amendment process, we will be able to allow members to participate, and it is true, I very much want us, and I know it's challenging. I mean, we've gone through one appropriation bill, and we had late nights, and it was not easy. I'm one who wants to encourage the chairs and ranking members of appropriation subcommittees to work together to try and strike a bipartisan agreement, a unanimous consent agreement that will allow for a free-flowing debate, but at the same time expeditious consideration of the issues. And I hope very much, well, I know that the Military Construction Subcommittee usually has very few amendments. There are other bills that might have more, and so it's my hope that we will be able to have respect for members, allow all issues to be considered, but at the same time, for lack of a better term, not drone on and on and on about the same thing. And I know I'm preaching to the choir because you guys are the ones who are going to be standing there through the entire process. I'll be relaxing up here in the Rules Committee, occasionally looking at you on television as you do it, but I will say that I think that having this open process is the right thing for us to do, and I will tell the 6 of you that that's exactly what I'm going to recommend to this committee, and I suspect we'll have Democrats and Republicans alike supportive of open rules for consideration of these measures. So I have no questions other than to express appreciation. Ms. Fox.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to associate myself with all your comments except the part about relaxing up here in the Rules Committee.
Oh, okay. Well,
and
I'm clearing out of here in 7 months. So
and watching it on TV.
I won't be doing that in 7 months, I assure you.
I just say thank you to all of you, and thank you especially for the cooperation you've shown, and appreciate the hard work that you've done. And I may be standing in the chair late at night while you all are doing the debates.
Well, we know things will be handled very ably if you are.
Thank you very much.
Mr. McGovern.
Thank you all very much for your work. I'm glad that we're It appears to be that we're leaning toward open rules on all these three bills. I hope that's the case with the intelligence bill as well. And again, Mr. Price, I appreciate your pointing out the concerns of the Judiciary Committee Democrats with regard to the abortion language in the Homeland Security bill. I hope those won't be protected. But I just want to thank you all very much for being here. I have no questions.
Mr. Bishop, Mr. Woodall, Mr. Nugent, Mr. Scott, Mr. Webster. Gentlemen, thank you all very much for being here. We appreciate it. We look forward to considering your measures on the floor. Now we will proceed to consideration of the Intelligence Authorization Bill. And we have a number of witnesses. First, we're happy to welcome the distinguished chair of the Select Committee on Intelligence, Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Ruppersberger. So, seeing no witnesses on the Intel bill, should we have the rule to pass out? The rules to pass out?
outside trying to get in.
Oh, we are gonna have witnesses. I thought that would close the hearing on the Intel bill then, if we had no witnesses. So. Mr. Rogers, without objection, any prepared statement that you have will appear in the record, and we welcome your summary.
Thank you,
It's amazing how quickly we can do when we propose open rules.
I love that. Thank you, Chairman Dreyer, Ranking Member Slaughter. Thank you all for the opportunity to testify before the Rules Committee today. A couple things. We have actually come in below FY12 fiscal year budget. We are over the President's budget, and we've done it in a way that makes the right investments and doesn't affect the mission, which is important. You know, over the last 10 years, grew pretty rapidly. So anytime you throw that much money at the problem, and I'm not saying it was we threw it in a wasteful way, but it grew quickly to meet the demand. We felt that there were efficiencies that we could find and find some savings, again, without diminishing the mission. We think we've done that. It is a bipartisan bill. It passed 19 to nothing out of the Intelligence Committee. It makes important investments in all of the challenges that face us, and I think puts us in a position to be competitive when it comes to our ability to collect information against the threats against the United States moving forward in the out years as well. So without further ado, and I'd like to submit my statement.
Without objection, your entire prepared statement will appear in the record. And we understand and respect the sensitivity of much of the work that you do. Thank you for the great job that you do. And I see Mr. Ruppersberger is not here. I don't know if he's going to be joining us, but I do hope that I'm going to encourage this committee to make and order a number of amendments. I know we've been working with you and your team on those amendments that have been submitted to us, and I will say that I'm hoping that we will be able to cover a number of the issues that are of concern to members as we move forward. But I have no questions beyond that. Ms. Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No questions.
Thank you, Ms. Fox.
Mr. McGovern. Mr. Woodall, Mr. Nugent, Mr. Scott. Mr. Webster. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the support of the Rules Committee. Thanks for the great work you do. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Ruppersberger is not here. Ms. Myrick is not here. Mr. Franks, Mr. Poe, Mr. Farr, Ms. Jackson-Lee. Is Ms. Jackson-Lee here? I don't see Ms. Jackson-Lee here. And I don't know if we're prepared to proceed here.
Let's see where we are.
Okay. Okay, we're ready to go here. We'll make sure everyone has a copy of the rule in their hands, and then we'll entertain a motion from the gentlewoman from Grandfather Community. You all have yours there. Everybody have their copy. The chair will be in receipt of a motion from the gentlewoman from Grandfather Community, North Carolina.
Mr. Chairman, I move the committee grant H.R. 5743, the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2013, a structured rule. The rule provides 1 hour of general debate equally divided, controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. The rule waives all points of order against consideration of the bill. The rule provides that the amendment in the nature of a substitute recommended by the Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, now printed in the bill, shall be considered as original text for the purpose of amendment and shall be considered as read. The rule waives all points of order against the amendment in the nature of a substitute. The rule makes in order only those amendments printed in the Rules Committee report. Each such amendment may be offered only in the order printed in the report, may be offered only by a member designated in the report, shall be considered as read, shall be debatable for the time specified in the report, equally divided and controlled by the proponent and an opponent, shall not be subject to amendment, shall not be subject to a demand for division of the question. The rule waives all points of order against the amendments printed in the report. The rule provides one motion to recommit with or without instructions. The resolution further provides for consideration of the following bills under open rules: H.R. 5854, the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs and Related Agencies Appropriations Act 2013, H.R. 5855, the Department of Homeland Security Appropriations Act 2013, and H.R. 5325, the Energy and Water Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Act 2013. The rule provides 1 hour of general debate on each bill, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Appropriations. The rule waives all points of order against consideration of each bill. The rule waives points of order against provisions in each bill for failure to comply with Clause 2 of Rule 21. The rule provides that each bill shall be considered for amendment under the 5-minute rule. The rule provides that the chair may accord priority and recognition to members who have pre-printed their amendments in the congressional record. Finally, the rule provides one motion to recommit each bill with or without instructions.
You've heard the motion of the gentlewoman from Grandfather Community. Let me just explain the rule. As we discussed through the hearing, we are going to continue with an open amendment process for these three appropriations bills. And we have, as is always the case, a structured rule for consideration of the Intelligence Authorization Bill. We've made 7 amendments submitted by Democrats in order, 2 amendments submitted by Republicans in order. We had somewhere in the mid-20s submitted to us, I think 26 amendments. This is a very sensitive bill, as I said in my exchange with Mr. Rogers, and as we know, the Committee on Intelligence, Select Committee on Intelligence, is not in a position to discuss the details or reasons for their encouraging us not to make in order some amendments, and so we've not been able to make every amendment in order. I will acknowledge that, but again, recognizing the very important rights of the minorities, we have by a 7-to-2 ratio made more amendments offered by Democrats in order than we have amendments offered by Republicans. So are there any amendments to the rule? Mr. McGovern.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent to submit to the record the testimony of the Honorable Sam Farr of California on the intelligence bill. Without objection, Mr. Farr's statement will appear in the record. And, Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment to the rule. I move to amend the rule to remove the waivers of all points of order for Sections 566 and 567 of H.R. 5855, the Homeland Security Appropriations Bill. The waivers in this rule are protecting parts of the bill that violate the rules of the House. We're not supposed to legislate in an appropriations bill, and it just seems too convenient that we're willing to give waivers to things like this abortion language that Republicans favor, but anytime Democrats ask for a waiver, we're told we can't have one. These parts of the bill prohibit Immigration and Customs Enforcement from using funds to pay for an abortion, which is already against the law and which ICE doesn't do anyway. This is just political gamesmanship by the Republicans who want to introduce controversial social issues into a bill that is supposed to be about our national security. And I'd also like to ask unanimous consent to submit into the record the letter to the Honorable David Dreyer from John Conyers, the ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, and Zoe Lofgren, ranking member of the Subcommittee on Immigration Policy and Enforcement, in support of the position I've just...
Without objection, the letter from Mr. Conyers and Ms. Lofgren will appear in the record. You've heard the motion of the gentleman. The vote occurs on the McGovern amendment. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no.
I ask for a roll call.
Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Sessions. Ms. Fox. No. Ms. Fox, no. Mr. Bishop. Mr. Bishop, no. Mr. Woodall. No. Mr. Woodall, no. Mr. Nugent. No. Mr. Nugent, no. Mr. Scott. No. Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Webster? Mr. Webster, no. Ms. Slaughter? Mr. McGovern?
Aye.
Mr. McGovern, aye. Mr. Hastings?
Aye.
Mr. Hastings, aye. Mr. Polis? Mr. Chairman?
No.
Mr. Chairman, no.
Mr. Clerk, the total?
2 yeas, 7 nays.
The amendment's not agreed. Are there further amendments?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Hastings.
Mr. Chairman, I'd offer an en bloc amendment, and I do have an amendment to the rule. I move the committee make an order and give the necessary waivers for the following amendments to H.R. 5743 en bloc. Following on with Mr. McGovern's comments, which I echo, deeply appreciative that these are open rules, as the chair has cited, and traditionally are. And second, the fact that you have made amendments in order that some have offered, but the blocking of amendments or the failure of allowing some of the amendments that we feel would be helpful is where this amendment is coming from. So in the en bloc are Clark of New York, number 8, Cuellar, number 6, Cuellar, number 7, Hahn, number 11, Hahn, number 13, Hahn, number 16, Hinchy, number 9, Holt, number 19, Holt, number 20, Holt, number 21, Holt, number 22. I might add, Russ Holt was on the Intelligence Committee for the same period of time that I did, and perhaps one of the more conscientious people that I've seen serve in that capacity, and it's regrettable that the amendments that he offered were not made in order. Jackson Lee, number 2. I held off as long as I could to get you here for the vote. And Mike Thompson, number 15. Mike Thompson also having been a member of the Intelligence Committee.
You've heard the motion of the gentleman. Let me just say, again, list the members whose amendments have been in order. Mike Thompson has an amendment made in order. Mr. Conyers, Mr. Ellison, Barbara Lee, Sam Farr, Henry Cuellar, Ms. Hahn, and Ms. Jackson Lee has 2 amendments that are made allowed for consideration under this rule. Vote occurs on the Hastings amendment. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The noes have it. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Sessions? Ms. Fox? No. Ms. Fox, no. Mr. Bishop? Mr. Bishop, no. Mr. Woodall? Mr. Woodall, no. Mr. Nugent? Mr. Nugent, no. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, no. Mr. Webster? Mr. Webster, no. Ms. Slaughter? Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, aye. Mr. Hastings? Mr. Hastings, aye. Mr. Polis? Aye. Mr. Polis, aye. Mr. Chairman?
No.
Mr. Chairman, no.
Mr. Clerk, the total?
3 yeas, 7 nays.
And the amendment's not agreed to. Are there further amendments? If not, the vote occurs on the motion of the gentleman from Grandfather Committee. Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The motion. Clerk, call the roll.
Mr. Sessions? Ms. Fox? Aye. Ms. Fox, aye. Mr. Bishop? Mr. Bishop, aye. Mr. Woodall? Mr. Woodall, aye. Mr. Nugent? Mr. Nugent, aye. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott, aye. Mr. Webster? Mr. Webster, aye. Ms. Slaughter? Mr. McGovern? Mr. McGovern, no. Mr. Hastings? Mr. Hastings, no. Mr. Polis? No. Mr. Polis, no. Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Chairman, aye.
Mr. Clerk, the total?
7 yeas, 3 nays.
And the motion is agreed to, and this will be managed for the majority by Mr. Nugent and Mr. Hastings for the minority. This should conclude our last meeting of what will be a full week, beginning Wednesday. How nice. And then when we get back, I think we should have more of this work to proceed. So without objection, the committee stands adjourned.